What is going on, trainers? DrumVillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and today we're talking about the Kanto Cup and specifically Kangaskhan in the Kanto Cup. Kangaskhan currently is in Mega Raids. They released the Mega like 2 days ago, which means wherever you are in the globe, you can get a hold of Kangaskhan from these raids, whereas usually it's an Australia specific spawn, I believe. I don't know if you get it in New Zealand as well, maybe, I'm not sure, but it's in that region of the world is normally the only place you can get a hold of one. But since currently right now everyone can get one and a potential to even be shiny hunting them, stuff like that, I thought I'd talk about it and show you guys what it can do in the Kanto Cup meta. Now, Kangaskhan isn't particularly highly rated in the Kanto Cup. I think it's like rank 133 or something insanely bad, considering there's only like 150 eligible Pokemon for the Kanto Cup. I mean, obviously that's taking into account shadows and regional variants like the Alolan variants and stuff, but still it's a very low rating overall for its performance in the Cup. But I'll tell you what, I've done 3 sets with Kangaskhan and I've managed to take a 5-0 set, bringing Kangaskhan, and then 2 and 3. So 2 negative sets, but 1 very positive set. So I don't necessarily recommend running Kangaskhan, but it's for you guys to see how it plays, how it works, check it out, and just for a bit of entertainment, just for a bit of a laugh, see how it goes. So if you guys enjoy this video, let me know down below. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos that I'll be doing, and maybe I'll do some more spicy picks and experimental picks with Pokemon that you really wouldn't normally want to use in PvP, just to try them out, see if we can make them work. And yeah, let's take a look at the team. Alright, so we're going to be putting Kangaskhan on the lead. It has access to Mud Slap as a fast move. It also has access to Low Kick, but that's an absolutely terrible fast move no matter what coverage you're looking for with it. So we'll stick with the Mud Slap. We're going for Power Up Punch and Crunch as charge moves. It does have access to Stomp, Brick Break, Outrage, but this is the recommended moveset on PvP, and honestly I like the dark coverage of Crunch and then just amping up that heavy Mud Slap damage with the Power Up Punch. In the back we're pairing it with Hypno, standard moveset, Fire Punch and Shadow Ball, as well as Confusion as the fast move obviously, and then Alolan Sandslash is making a return in the back, Shadow Claw, Ice Punch and Bulldoze. Now you might think this team's double weak to fighting, but this team isn't really recommended, it's not really meant to work. But honestly, when I chucked Kangaskhan and Hypno on a team, it recommended Alolan Sandslash on PvP to round out the squad. So that's what we're going with. We're going to give it a try, see how it works, and honestly, it's not the worst team. It's not as bad as you'd expect. Alright, jumping into the first matchup, and we've got Kangaskhan against Alolan Sandslash. This is a positive lead for Kangaskhan. Sandslash is going to be weak to that Mud Slap damage. It's going to chunk him down pretty quick, but the opponent swaps out into a Galarian Rapidash. I take a split second to actually decide what to do, and that is enough time for them to actually get to a body slam. It is incredibly fast, Galarian Rapidash, because it's got access to Psycho Cut, which is great for fast move energy generation if you're aware of like how good Mewtwo is in the Master League. It's because of that Psycho Cut generating energy so fast. But we're going to bring in Sandslash, farm down entirely. Sandslash resists everything that Galarian Rapidash can throw at us, so we can just Shadow Claw down entirely, build up some energy, dump it into this opposing Alolan Sandslash, which they let through. They let the Bulldoze, so that's fantastic for us. And now we're in a very solid position because this Hypno has to throw energy to take us out. We can spam Ice Punches all day long until they do decide to throw that energy at us. And then we've got Hypno to meet their Hypno just to absorb some of that energy if they've still got any left. And then Kangaskhan should definitely be able to just sweep up the rest of this game with that Mud Slap damage. We've still got 2 shields at this point, so we could really just Mud Slap our way through the rest of the game here at this point. But bring in Hypno, see what this Hypno chooses to do. The opponent's going to surrender. They realise that there's nothing they can do in this situation. GG, we're going to take that first win. You'd be surprised at the coverage that Mud Slap actually gives you against a lot of the meta in the Kanto Cup. It's a surprisingly useful damage type. This matchup, same example, Gengar lead. We're going to be resisting the ghost moves. Mud Slaps are going to hit for super effective. The opponent swaps out into an Alolan Grimer, which isn't the best answer to a Kangaskhan because again, they're going to hit for super effective damage by those Mud Slaps. We're going to go ahead and throw this Power Up Punch just to take them out before they get to a second Crunch, which they are going to shield up, which is fantastic for us. They are going to get to this move. We're going to shield it up. We think it's worth it because Kangaskhan can still put in work against the Gengar. We've got our energy buffed up. Let's see what they bring in and see what we can do. We're going to bring in Nidoqueen. This is a triple poison, triple weak to ground team. Kangaskhan is on an absolute... That Crunch does monstrous damage as well. We're on an absolute rampage. We farm down Nidoqueen. And we make the Crunch, but we don't throw it. My god, we could have actually just swept the entire game. Oh, and they didn't shield. We would have one-shotted the Gengar. Kangaskhan could have wiped out everything in that team. That would have been incredibly satisfying to see. But we're just going to bring in Sandslash, Shadow Claw down now at this point. Even if they focus blasters, we don't mind. We'll let it go through and then just Confusion down with Hypno. This Gengar can't get to enough energy. Does it? A focus blast. We get boomed, but one Confusion takes them out and we take the win. GG. Alright, jumping straight into matchup number 3, and this opponent is going to be bringing a Mew lead in. Mew, as always, is a bag of tricks in whatever league you find it in, but if they've got Shadow Claw as a fast move, Kangaskhan is going to be double resisting it. But they swap out into Beedrill, as we all have seen in the scene. If you did my last video, Beedrill makes a fantastic save swap in the Kanto Cup. It's a great pick overall. We're choosing to stay in with Kangaskhan. We're figuring we might just try and line up Alolan Sandslash with the Mew later on in the game, but honestly, it's hard to gauge what's the right decision because it does depend on the moveset that the Mew is running. I'm going to choose to let Kangaskhan go down, bring in Sandslash, get a slight energy lead, see what the opponent chooses to do. They're going to come back in with Mew. Now, if they have access to Flame Charge, it would one-shot us, but if they throw Surf at us, so that's not particularly threatening. We're going to build up to 2 Ice Punches and throw these back to back, because the first one won't KO. We don't expect them to shield, which they don't. Throw the next one. If they want to get any more energy off against us, they are going to have to shield up this move. What's the Mew going to do? They're going to shield up. That's fine. Don't know what they're throwing here. Could be Flame Charge, could be Surf, could be Wild Charge. It's another Surf. Does a respectable chunk, but it's not going to take us out. Opponent swaps out to Pidgeot, and technically Alolan Sandslash does okay in that matchup, but we didn't want to get farmed down and then have them dump Feather Dancers into our last Pokemon and us not be able to clear that debuff and stuff, so we figure swap straight into Hypno. Just start Confusioning down, hit it with some Fire Punches. We're going to let this go through. It is a Brave Bird, takes out the Hypno, but now they haven't got enough energy to get to a move before we get to the Ice Punch, which means we can definitely take them out now. They've double dropped the defense. We've still got a shield. We should just be able to Shadow Claw down the Mew at this point. Bit of lag, the opponent might have actually closed the app without at this point. We're not particularly sure. Mew comes back in and they surrender. It's GG's to that opponent. Good game. But you guys can see Kangaskhan is really holding its own in a lot of matchups. Even in some of these neutral matchups, it just does good, relentless damage. Mud Slap is a pretty solid move. It's often outshined by Mud Shot. Speaking of weak to Mud Slap, this Alolan Graveler is double weak to ground being rock and electric. That one Mud Slap did monstrous damage. They swap out to a Mew and we're going to bring in Alolan Sandslash and start Shadow Clawing down. We definitely want to keep Kangaskhan lined up with that Graveler for that relentless Mud Shot damage, but this Mew does have access to Flame Charge, which will one-shot Sandslash, so we do want to drop shields here, maintain switch advantage, and make sure that we actually align Kangaskhan back with that Graveler. We don't really want Hypno against it. Hypno does fine, but we'd just rather get Kangaskhan lined up with it. So we actually go down 2 shields. We've got a lot of healthy Pokemon. Their Mew's down. They come in with Graveler. We're going straight for the Bulldoze. This again, double super effective. Are they going to let it through? Boom! They don't. Graveler's out of there. They're down to a Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales, which every move that it has is going to be resisted by the Alolan Sandslash. So we're just going to start spamming out Ice Punches. They've got to start shielding something because they're down to their last Pokemon. We do get the shield. This might not KO depending what it is. It's a Dazzling Gleam. That's a big hard hitting move. It's going to do big damage. We're going to swap into Kangaskhan. There's no point throwing the Crunch because it's resisted. Power Up Punch is neutral and does rack up the Mud Slap damage, and really we're just looking to chip this thing down as much as we can. Second Power Up Punch coming through will do, again, respectable little chunk. Not much. Power Up Punch isn't a particularly hard hitting move, but it's just nice just to wear them down a little bit more. This thing's definitely in Confusion down range at this point, and Hypno can survive a Dazzling Gleam even if the Ninetales did manage to get to it somehow. Confusion down, take the win. GG. Now, don't be fooled, we are getting lucky in these matchups in this particular set. This is the 5-0 set that we take, and we are getting fortunate leads, which does go a long way. Alolan Sandslash and Hypno both very strong as well, so this isn't entirely down to Kangaskhan, but it is amusing to see us getting wins using this thing. Hypno lead in matchup number 5. This isn't a terrible situation to be in because you don't have to worry about the punches. They're not going to hit particularly hard. Your Crunch from Kangaskhan is going to hit the Hypno pretty hard back. They're not going to throw a Shadow Ball at you because it's double resisted. So I do think it's a pretty decent matchup actually, again for Kangaskhan. I do think Hypno wins in the neutral kind of energy and shield scenarios, but I think Kangaskhan can put a lot of work in, especially if they don't let the crunch through. This opponent swaps out to Lapras. We're going to bring in Alolan Sandslash just because we're double resisting those ice shards. Fast moves, we do get a shield out of this opponent, and we don't mind that. We don't feel like we've got a particularly bad matchup either way with the Hypno, especially if we get an energy lead on our Hypno. So we're just going to keep chipping away in this matchup, let the Lapras take us out, and then we'll probably Confusion down with Hypno, just because we know it can take... Nope, we're going to bring a Kangaskhan. Okay, I'll let past me do the talking here in what it shows to do. Mud Slap down entirely, and then dump a Crunch into this Hypno that's probably going to come back in. This is going to do a reasonable chunk of damage, and we might make it to one more as well. Nice big chunk of damage. The Hypno throws straight away. We might let this go. Kangaskhan's not got much. Now we're going to shield up. We want to get that second Crunch off. The opponent swaps into a Nidoqueen, and this gives us a winning situation here because we can farm down with Confusion entirely and then hopefully bait the last shield out of them with a punch and then get to a Shadow Ball just to finish off their Hypno. So we've still got the shield, we're still hanging on to it because we know that Hypno has some energy. We need them to shield up this Fire Punch. If they don't, we're probably going to lose this matchup. They do shield, that's fantastic. One more Confusion to get to the Shadow Ball. One fast move away from being taken out by the opposing Confusion. It's not going to matter. Shadow Ball takes out the Hypno and we take the 5-0 wins. Now, as I've said, we did get quite lucky with matchups in that first set, so do not expect that to be the performance of the team. Overall, I do not recommend you guys run this team. This next set will give you a bit of a better idea of what you're probably going to run into normally and how that's going to go in a standard set that's not very, very lucky. Now we're getting a Alolan Marowak on lead, specifically running Hex as a fast move, so this is a very positive matchup for Kangaskhan, but that means they're likely to be running Fire Blast for extra coverage since Hex is a little bit better for energy, so we are going to shield up. Tis the Fire Blast, it's a great shield because we've taken almost no damage from those Hexes and we're still on even shield scenarios. The opponent safe swaps into an Articuno, which is super spicy. Again, love to see it, love to see the spice in the Kanto Cup. This Articuno is going to throw, we don't have to worry about shielding anything up at all. And we're going to go ahead and throw one more Ice Punch. We're probably going to undercharge it a little bit because we don't have to worry about the charge moves. And then we're going to completely Shadow Claw down just to have some energy, maybe to have a Bulldoze to throw at the Alolan Marowak if it does come back in. Even though we are going to be a little bit debuffed, it's still going to do a nice big chunk of damage and maybe even take out the Marowak from where it is because it had took quite a bit of Mud Slap damage. We're going to swap straight out into Marowak here, throw the Bulldoze straight away. Do they shield? They don't. It doesn't quite take them out, so we swap into Kangaskhan, finish them off. That Mud Slap again, absolutely relentless damage. Articuno comes back in, throw the Power Up Punch straight away because we know it's loaded with energy. We take them out with the Power Up Punch, what they got in the back. Hypno. Can Kangaskhan put in some work here? We might make it to a Crunch, even if we don't shield this, which we're not going to. Save the shield for our Hypno to potentially get to a Shadow Ball, I believe, or even the Alolan Sandslash at this point can put in some work with the Shadow Claws. We get a shield with the Crunch. The defense falls, even better for us. There's nothing this opponent can do. Do we make it to an Ice Punch? We might do. I'm going to let this go through. It's a Fire Punch. It is going to take us out. But we've got our own Hypno. We only have to get to a Fire Punch here to actually take them out. The Confusions are really chunking, especially with that defense drop. Just shield. Nope, we're going to let it go through. That's a bit of a... I mean, Shadow Ball wouldn't take out Hypno, actually. It doesn't one-shot. It does a lot of damage, but it doesn't absolutely obliterate, so we would have been fine. Either which way, a bit of a flex. We're going to take that first win. GG. Honestly, guys, in all seriousness, I'm not kidding. Do not run this team. It is not good. I know I've just shown 6 wins in a row, but that is not the point. This is not a recommended team. Next lead, we've got Lickitung. Now, Kangaskhan is double resisting the lick damage, but Body Slam is a very energy efficient move, and it does mean that this matchup still does go to Lickitung overall, just because you cannot hack those Body Slams. 3 Body Slams will take out Kangaskhan. These Power Up Punches aren't going to do enough to really threaten. They're just going to slowly ramp up our damage. Opponent swaps out into a Lapras. We're going to throw another Power Up Punch, which I don't know if I agree with this. Maybe we should have just swapped straight into our Alolan Sandslash, but this means we chip him down a little bit lower. Maybe get him into like Shadow Claw plus 1 Bulldoze range. And we'll swap to Hypno. That makes sense, actually. Hypno has a slightly worse matchup against the Lickitung, so we're not too bothered about bringing Hypno in here, spending it up a little bit, using some health on it up. I'm going to throw a Fire Punch. Might just get him into confusion downrange. Hopefully we don't have to take another Surf. One more confusion, takes him out, that's absolutely perfect. We've got a Fire Punch ready to throw at Lickitung. And although those licks aren't doing super effective damage, they are going to struggle to farm us down entirely because Hypno's quite bulky and we've got quite a bit of health. Lickitung is going to get pummeled by these Fire Punches if it's refusing to throw a move. They are going to commit to the hard farm downs. This thing is absolutely loaded. Perfect to bring in the Alolan Sandslash because it resists every charge move that Lickitung generally has in the Great League. It generally runs Body Slam and Power Whip, both of which we resist, so we let the first one go through. No worries at all. They actually catch an Ice Punch on Alolan Marowak in the back, and an Alolan Marowak, even with just one shield, is absolutely, it dooms us. If we'd have saved the energy and maybe been able to get to a Bulldoze, there's a slim chance, but it's really not likely, especially with that Lickitung still having excess energy to dump more Body Slams into us. There's nothing we can do, so we'll let the charge move go through, accept defeat, and GG to the opponent. Alright, this next matchup is definitely a bit of a spicier one. We've got an Aerodactyl on the opposing team on the lead. An Aerodactyl has relentless fast move pressure. That Rock Throw really chips away at pretty much anything that's not resisting it. And there isn't a great deal of picks in the Kanto Cup that do resist rock damage. There's a few ground types that you can get away with. But honestly, it's going to hit for pretty decent damage against most things in the Kanto Cup. So Aerodactyl isn't the worst choice. It's probably a better choice than Kangaskhan, actually. But we're going to get to this power-up punch, which might force the shield if they're expecting another crunch. It will take them out either way because they're very, very low. And they choose to shield up, preserve some energy, and survive with 1 HP and a Dream. I think we're going to let this go through on Hypno, though. It's going to hit reasonably hard because Aerodactyl is sub-attack weighted, but it's not going to do that much to Hypno, who's pretty defense-oriented. Now, we've uneven shields in this particular situation, so we've got a slight energy advantage. We're going to go straight for the Shadow Ball. We do get a shield, but it does mean we can get to another Shadow Ball in this matchup ideally first. They throw a Thunder Punch, which we choose to let through, and we're actually going to save the shield for Alolan Sandslash in the back. Big mistake. They've got a Shadow Machamp back there. Alolan Sandslash is going to get absolutely mincemeated by double super effective counter damage. Nothing we can do. Even Shadow Machamp can survive one of those Ice Punches. And if we shield this up, we need to take out this Machamp ideally with 1 confusion. But you can see those counters, those shadow counters from Machamp are just going to absolutely shred us. So we're going to take a second loss. GG to that opponent. Fourth matchup, what do they bring into the party? A Shadow Nidoqueen. This is a great lead for Kangaskhan because, again, the Mud Slaps are hitting for super effective damage. But you can see those Poison Jabs are really chunking away as well fast. Kangaskhan is not that bulky in the Great League. But since we've got 3 Pokemon that all have decent matchups against Nidoqueen, we're going to choose to absorb the damage, clear the debuff by swapping to Hypno, see what the opponent chooses to do. They swap out to Lickitung, and honestly, Kangaskhan just does not hack Lickitung particularly well. Hypno definitely doesn't. We can take the Body Slam, no worries, but we cannot threaten. We built up a lot of energy actually, so we can threaten because this could be a Focus Blast, and we do get a shield. They do respect the possibility, but we're just going to spam 2 Fire Punches off, get a shield, bit of chip damage, and see what the opponent wants to do with all that energy. We're going to bring in Kangaskhan. We make it to a crunch. This will do a respectable chunk. Will we get the second shield? Are they willing to give it up? They're not. We do get the defense drop, which is great for us. We're going to let this move go through. Nope, we're not. We're going to shield it up because we want to Mud Slap down. That's fair enough. Or even get them closer to Shadow Claw down range if they did throw another move to take us out. That's fine. They'll Power Up Punch. We've got some buffed Mud Slaps, and they've got Venusaur in the back. This gives us potential to win, but we need to swap to Alolan Sandslash before they farm us down entirely, because we can get to 2 Ice Punches before they get to 2 Frenzy Plants, but also they've got a slight energy advantage. So we can afford to give up a shield against the Venusaur, but we have to manage our energy carefully, because that Nidoqueen, if it's allowed to get to an Earth Power, can take us out, and if this Venusaur is allowed to get to 1 more Frenzy Plant, it'll take us out. And you're going to see they try and make a catch when we actually get to the Ice Punch, but they fail the catch. Nidoqueen doesn't have energy to get to an Earth Power. We let this go, it's fine. Shadow Claw down entirely, and we'll throw Ice Punch straight away at Venusaur. And even though it's just Ice Punch, this is definitely going to be enough to take out the Venusaur, give us the second win in this set. Good game. Alright, next matchup, well, the last matchup I'm going to talk about today actually, and you're going to see that a good lead does not always mean you're going to be able to take the win. Now, with Alolan Marowak, as you can see with the team, Kangaskhan is actually our only answer to that thing, because Hypno and Alolan Sandslash struggle heavily with Marowak. We're going to stay with Kangaskhan, throw a superpower. We really should have swapped out, potentially to our own Hypno, since we do have that Fire Punch. But I think we're going to choose to stay in instead and completely take out this Sandslash. But honestly, we should commit a shield. Yeah, we need some health preserved on Kangaskhan to make sure that it can deal with that Marowak if it does come back in. The opponent swaps into Lapras, and we should throw the Crunch. We're already amped up, we might as well throw it and get some more damage. I believe they were expecting a power-up punch at that point, and the Crunch could have really surprised them for a solid chunk of damage. We swap out to Hypno because we want to bait the Marowak out so that Kangaskhan can deal with it and free up Sandslash to hopefully cope with the Lapras, although it does have a lot of energy, that Lapras. It did swap out without throwing any serves, without throwing Ice Beams or Skull Bashes or anything, so it is pretty heavily loaded, and those serves do hit Sandslash for some neutral damage. We're not quite able to get the Shadow Ball off. That's really unfortunate from Hypno, and you're going to see these Fire Spins are adding up, but we should maybe be able to Mud Slap down. Are we going to commit a shield? But not. Shadow Bone's double resisted. It's going to do a reasonable chunk. We're going to swap to Sandslash and try and farm down entirely. We wanted to Shadow Claw down cheekily before they got to another move. We're not going to get it. We're going to have to shield up a Shadow Bone, and now the Lapras can come in and dump all its energy in, and this is absolutely terrible for us. If we had have got the Crunch off on Lapras instead of the Power-Up Punch, we might have been in a little bit of a better situation. But honestly, these serves are going to be enough to take us out. We're going to take a loss. Good game to the opponent, and that's going to give us a 2 and 3 set in this second set. And as I've said, I do not recommend running Kangaskhan. I don't recommend running this team. It's not a good team. Kangaskhan is not a good pick in general. Maybe in some very limited metas it might have some play, but honestly I don't recommend you guys to use it. Just a bit of fun here. If you guys have enjoyed the video, you enjoy the content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, let me know down below what you think, and as always I will catch all of you absolute legends next time.